Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Jack and Joe show after the first game of the season, first weekend of the season, in fact, because we've been watching all the games that we can. Jack, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's the first defeat under Marco Silva on the first day of the season. Under Marco Silva, it's the first defeat on the first day of the season since we lost 3-0 to Arsenal in the lockdown season, I believe.
I think you're right. And that
Yeah.
was rough. And it was much rougher than it was on Friday.
Mm.
I think let's get straight into it, Jack. We're going to do a run through of the Man United game, and then we're going to look ahead to our first game at the Cottage this season against Leicester, which we're really excited about. At the time of filming, Leicester play tonight, so full caveat that we actually haven't seen them in action for the first time yet, but we've sort of got a flavour of what team they're going to line up with based on pre-season results, based on the transfer business they've done so far. They have just brought in as well this afternoon, in fact, Oliver Skip from Tottenham, their opponents. So that's an interesting signing. Probably not playing tonight. He's definitely not playing tonight, but he will be playing most likely or in the squad against us on Saturday. But Jack, Old Trafford, you were there. I was not. I was watching from home, and opening the season, a lot of excitement. Really, really fast start by Fulham, first of all. Was really, really impressed by the start of the first opening 20 minutes. We dominated. We didn't really convert it into clear-cut chances, which was, to be honest, a bit of the story of the game. Let's talk about the first half overall. Probably a half of two halves. We were the better team for the first 20.
Yeah.
They edged it for the last 25 and had a couple of great chances. What did you make of how we set up? It was obviously the exact same team that played against Hoffenheim in that final pre-season friendly, which I think you called last week. So what did you make of the first half?
Sorry, I was just really distracted by my phone. Ornstein Bomber just came up, but it's not Fulham. It's João Felix to Chelsea. I just couldn't care any less. So, they're signing another player, bloody hell. Right. Fulham Man United, I thought it was a nervy occasion. I've never felt sitting in the press box more like stressed and nervous watching a game of football. And I don't really know why, because it was the opening game, the opening night against the top six team. I'm not expecting us to win 3-0 and go home happy. But I feel like it's just like getting off to a good start in the Premier League is so vitally important for your season that it felt like, if we lose this, we have to win the next two. And then thus, we do. I thought we were good. In fact, I thought we were pretty decent. We had loads of counter-attacking opportunities. Adama Traore down the right starting was really good. It felt as if, obviously we saw last season he came off the bench and made a difference, but actually starting him really did stretch the defence and ask some questions early on. Again, it was just the end product. You get to the byline or you get to the edge of the box on the wing, and you have Smith Rowe running in and you have Iwobi running in, but no one could be picked out. Muniz was there as well. I was described it earlier as just like the most nearly night for Fulham ever. Just a night of nearly moments. Okay, let's talk specifically about the first half. I thought we rode a storm right at the end. Bruno Fernandes had two really good chances. Leno made an error, which obviously was not great, but I found it quite nervous watching Fulham play out from the back. Even Bassi on the ball, a little bit nervy. I thought Diop actually was our best defender.
Agree.
Out of the two centre-backs. Tete obviously marauding forward. That was a really good effort. Robinson got caught out a couple of times, almost gave away a penalty. Never a penalty in mine, but never a penalty.
No chance.
And then, of course, we went down the other end and almost scored. I thought Fulham were good value, but Marco was getting so stressed on the touchline due to like little decisions that weren't going our way. He was just complaining with Anthony Taylor like the whole first half. And to be fair, I agreed with him on basically most things he was arguing about. I just found the atmosphere so nervy and cagey, and just the margins of the game were very tight, and it felt as if one mistake or one loose pass would basically decide the game. And it didn't quite happen that way, but it almost did in Leno and in Bassi's mistake in the second half. It wasn't an enjoyable watch, but at the same time, it was an enjoyable watch because Fulham were actually doing quite well. And I won't lie, it was actually quite a good game of football, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm in hindsight now after, the motions have passed about, losing quite late on. We won't speak too much about the goal, but elements of it, obviously not the actual finish or cross itself, but the way that we turned over possession and there was so much space for United really reminded me of our the goal that they scored against us when Garnacho won it at the Cottage a couple of years ago, in terms of suddenly a turnover, possession, someone lunging into a tackle or going out of position. In this case, it was Kearney on the touchline, who'd already been booked, couldn't take down Fernandez. At the Cottage, I believe it was 2 players dragged out of position over to the right-hand side, vacated loads of space for Ericsson, who laid it through to Garnacho. Just a killer moment, really, that's so innocuous on that touchline. When Xerxes had the ball in so much space, you just thought, okay, we're in trouble here. When the cross actually came in, for the split second that the cross comes in, I'm thinking, phew, because it didn't go to the back post where I thought it was going. I actually thought McTominay scored, which had been ironic considering the rumours. Like, I've seen it about 20 times. I'm still convinced McTominay scored somehow, just because the way that the finish was so strange. But nearly moments sums it up. It was a great finish. We had no one capable of that on the night. Our final ball, I thought was woeful. Actually, I've got to be honest. I mean, I'll be positive about the majority of the performance, but the final ball and what we were doing in the final third was really, really frustrating me. Just so many chances. It wasn't 1 or 2. It was 9 or 10 chances that we had where the ball wasn't right, and we only needed one. And the one could have been Pereira when it was 2 against 1. There's been a lot made of that, but there was plenty of others as well. The Adama one is living in my head just as much in the first half, 5 minutes in. Like you say, you've got Smith Rowe, Muniz and Iwobi, and all 3 of them made the same run. It's like if they just mixed it up slightly. I think Muniz was the ball there, probably at the edge of the box. He was furthest away from goal. Mazraoui made a great recovery tackle, and in all honesty, he had a great game. He was man of the match.
Yeah, for sure.
I think what annoys me from my perspective is that I was thinking to myself, no way this ends 0-0. No way this ends 0-0 until about 80 minutes. And then I was thinking, you know what? I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable. And it was at that moment that they had one counter-attack when Fernandez put it straight at Leno. And I thought, okay, let off. Next one, they scored. And we didn't have a chance after that. I thought that we were a little bit shaky playing out the back, more than normal.
Yeah.
And that's how they got a lot of their joy. It was as good as we were, Jack, and I do agree with you. If you think back to clear-cut chances where it was actually shots on goal from Fulham, there weren't any. They were all from distance. And then, the Muniz deflected, which would have been the funniest goal ever. It would have been so hilarious. But if you think about United, Fernandez had 2 that on another day he scores.
Yeah.
Mount had 1 where he should have scored. Great save from Leno. Let's take nothing away from that. 3 great saves. You also had the Garnacho one where he somehow missed. And I know it was at 1-0, but let's face it, on another day, the quality of players that we've just spoken about, they could have scored all 4 of them. So I'm slightly concerned about how many clear-cut chances United had, despite not being very good. But let's look at the quality of players they have. Let's look at the team that we put out. And Silva said before the game, we want 3 additions. Do you agree with what he said? He called out central midfield to replace Polinia, centre-back and a forward player. Do you think we need more?
Absolutely agree with the 3 positions. We definitely need someone with a bit more clinical nature in the final third, someone who can finish off those chances or someone who can pick out that ball that's going to find a teammate. DM, obviously, we spoke about it all summer, and Marcus insisted we're going to sign someone. I've got no idea who it's going to be. There's names being thrown all about right now. You mentioned Sander Berge to me 10 minutes ago. McTominay we're back in for. I don't know. Andre, could make a remarkable appearance at some point. I honestly, right centre back, absolutely. I think we're now going all out for Anderson, which is, we're internally discussing whether we go all out for Anderson. I think if Palace were to get Lecroux, maybe that pushes us in a better position to get Anderson. I'm not sure. I thought Anderson yesterday was pretty good for Palace, and it sort of makes me realise that I do sort of want him back at Craven Cottage. It would be great to see him and great to sign him. I do think we need more than 3. I won't lie.
I think we need 4 minimum.
The bench was okay. Like the way the bench looked was good, but we definitely need, I wouldn't say a striker. I think that's maybe the striker debate is going to go on, I reckon. I think we need another wide player, potentially on the left, or someone who can play both sides. Someone like a Shirky. Shirky is now interested in Palace. Sorry, Palace and Fulham are now interested in him. He apparently he's not too keen on the move, but we were linked with him back in last year, and that seemed close at the time. So who knows? I have 1 positive and 1 negative. to reflect on. Also, you speak about those 4 chances that could have been scored. One was an insane ball from Casemiro. One was a pass out from Leno that's very unlike him. One was a freak mistake from Bassi, and then the 4th was a goal. So you can read into it. I'm gonna have the glass half full. Look, those chances don't happen every game. However, there were some good bits of play, but there's some big mistakes in there. One positive, one negative. I can't remember the negative. Okay, the positive was every set piece we had was really threatening from a corner.
Yep.
Those corners in the second half were
new
really
tactic, wasn't it? It seemed like just trying to get it almost near post and like
flood
the box around the keeper. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, we had some joy from that last season when Bassi scored. I remember the negative now. It's a point I made earlier on my Patreon. This really frustrates me. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the goal. We had a free kick. Just slow the game down. We took it really fast.
And if you're at home, the camera panned away. When it went back up, we'd already lost possession. They were literally showing a replay of the foul, and then suddenly the ball was with Onana.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just
slow the game down. Like you're now playing for a point. Don't think about last season. Don't think about, we won it. You were still playing for a point at that stage. Just slow the game down. Be sensible. You come away 0-0 at Old Trafford. That is incredibly respectable, and we would have been very good value for the point. But we just rushed this free kick, and then Marco said it after the game. We get too emotional in these moments. It's not the first time it's happened. It's happened over and over and over and over again. And it's always we play the big teams. And I know we beat United last season. I know we beat Spurs last season, but in those situations where the game is level and there's a lot riding on it, we just lose our heads as a collective, and then it ended up costing us, and that's really frustrating. That game was the opening night of the Premier League should never finish 0-0. It's the most un-0-0, so there had to be a goal. There had to be a goal, and it just felt inevitable that United were going to score by hook or by crook. Joe, as you could tell, I haven't really spoke about the game much since Friday night, but now relaying it, I'm super frustrated by the way we handle things in the latter stages. However, it's only the first game, and you know what the best feeling is? We don't have to go back to Old Trafford for a long time now.
That's a nice feeling. For that. Yeah,
it was just horrid at times.
Yeah, and you know what? Like you said, the late goals thing is an ongoing issue. This one didn't quite hit as deep as some of the others because it was slightly earlier.
Yeah.
This reminded me slightly more of, the Gabriel one against us for Arsenal first season. We came back up at the Emirates when it was I think it was the 86th.
87th,
something like that. Yeah. Just a killer, but with a slight amount of time. We had 7 minutes, I think, to grab an equaliser. It wasn't going to happen. But yeah, there were so many elements of the performance that I did like. I feel like I've been very negative, but I thought that Lukic did a good job in the role just in front of the defence. He seems to always perform at Old Trafford. Tete was great. Robinson, I thought was great. And Diop, I thought was really good. Bassi, just not up to his usual standards, but I have no doubt that that's hopefully a one-off.
Yeah.
If you want a positive, the 2 times that people seem to watch Bassi were Spurs away last year and this one. So they're not going to try and sign him, which is great for us because he's been great. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of positives that we can take. And I think I said this to you even yesterday, or I said it to someone, I think it was you, that if we played like we did on Friday at home, I back us to beat most teams. In terms of the amount of chances on the break that we're creating, I back us to pick the correct option at least once. And I think that against worse teams with less quality, things like you were saying, the amazing pass from Fernandes, they don't happen. It just doesn't happen. Neither does the last minute quality finish from Xerxes, who's coming off the bench. A lot of teams can't bring someone like that off the bench. We're one of them.
They brought loads of really good players off the bench.
Yeah,
Garnacho, Xerxes,
De Ligt,
bloody hell.
McTominay, loads.
I think there's bits of, I don't want to talk about them much, but there's definitely been a switch in United. I do think they look much better than we played them last time.
Agreed.
And but hey ho, Leicester at home.
Leicester at home. Really, really poor, disjointed pre-season from Leicester. Negativity in their fan base.
Yeah.
A few people turning on Steve Cooper already seemed quite toxic. Lack of transfer business. Now they've finally got one over the line, and a lot of people, me included, think they're overpaying for Oliver Skipp in terms of, was it 25 million in total, something like that? It's a huge, huge fee for someone that doesn't play a lot of football, but but not in a way like Smith Rowe, where he was playing football for Arsenal. He was top quality, someone that has been quite, with all due respect to him, quite distinctly average for a few seasons, or not too involved in a high capacity. I think it's the ideal game on paper for us next, Jack, but we'll wait and see what reality brings. A few banana skins, some tricky attacking players, one of which we know very well in Bobby D. Cordova-Reid. I'm sure you're excited to say his name a few more times because you're not going to be able to do much this season. But I'm very much hoping that we can score the first goal and score a few goals, because what we weren't on Friday is clicking, and I want to see us click on Saturday.
Great point. We said it last week that the early stages of last season we weren't scoring enough goals, but we are creating chances. I do think, last time Leicester came to Craven Cottage, we were 3 up by half time. We were living in absolute dreamland.
Yeah,
I just want to pay attention to. I recommend following John Percy. He's probably one of the best journalists in the country when it comes to Midlands teams like Leicester, Forest, teams like that. He basically said, ahead of Steve Cooper's first game, Leicester City do not appear, in quotations, Premier League ready. Fans are frustrated over a number of issues, and the transfer window is proving difficult. With PSR, a clear concern and then there's an article looking at a closer look at how their summer's gone. They do have potentially 2 different point deductions overhanging them, but let's not mention that now because that's irrelevant to the game that's going to be played on Saturday. Since that article's come out, they have signed Oliver Skip, like you say. He won't feature tonight, so he'll probably make his debut against us. Winks and Skip in midfield, it just feels a bit like Spurs in the Carabao Cup. Do you know what I mean? It's just it doesn't excite me. I don't think it'll excite many Leicester fans. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid is back. Sorry if my internet's dropped a little bit there. I can't wait to give him a good reception. I'm excited to see him. Obviously, don't want him to do anything of note. This is a good game for us. If let's just say, I know it's Spurs. Let's just say Spurs win like 3-0 tonight. The atmosphere is going to be toxic.
Yeah,
I think justifiably from Leicester. You've got to get ready for a Premier League season. You lose on the opening. We don't know the result. They could win 3-0, and then suddenly I'm fearing for my life. I think that this is a good game for us. And in terms of a lineup, I have to say I was not impressed with Iwobi whatsoever.
Me neither.
And I would like to see Ryan Sessegnon in the squad. It was quite sad when I found out he hadn't travelled to Old Trafford. However, and players like Smith Rowe, they need more minutes. I want to see Jorge Cuenca as well play some minutes at some point, hopefully in the Carabao Cup against Birmingham. Can't wait for that. I would go with a lineup of... this is tricky. Leno. This is really tricky, actually. Leno, Robinson, say back 4. Bassi, Diop, Tete, fine. I think we're going to just have to play Lukic, Smith Rowe, Pereira.
Yeah.
I just because we need to bring the game to them.
Yeah.
And if we dominate the ball and dominate possession, and that's the same thing, and restrict Leicester from overturning the ball, we could have a lot of joy and we could just break them down. And I don't think it'll be as comfortable as I'm making it out. And then the forward areas is where I'm confused. I'm going to stick with Muniz up top. Not Iwobi. Okay, Iwobi, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd actually start Harry Wilson on the right and bring Traore off the bench. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm very tempted to say the exact same. I would leave the defence as it was at Old Trafford, including Leno, obviously. The midfield is the one that frustrates me because I just don't think we should be having to play Pereira as the 8. And I didn't particularly like him there in either of the 2 games off the ball. On the ball, I think that he did a lot of stuff right. He obviously did a couple of high-profile things wrong, but ultimately it happens. Let's not really too much into
forgiven.
Exactly. Well, mostly forgiven. But I wouldn't be. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the front 3 the same, with the only possible change being Wilson in for Adama, because I do think Adama is better off the bench. Yeah. But I'm also willing to have him there just for what I saw from us early at Old Trafford, where it just completely penned United back early doors. If we can do that against Leicester and build some early sustained pressure, I would hope that we can get a goal, or at least just keep building the momentum. Obviously, if we're signing players before then, but it doesn't look completely likely right now. I'd love to see some involvement from them. But the main thing that I'd ask for outside of the 11 is Ryan Sessegnon in the squad, and him warming up would be special. So that'd be great. What would your score prediction be, Jack?
I don't know. And that's quite a worrying stance. Sometimes I have a score prediction in my head and I stick with it and I go with it. I'm going to go with Fulham 2, Leicester 1, but Fulham go 2 goals up. Leicester get a goal back. It's a little bit nervy, but it's too late for Leicester to really mount a Desmond. So 2-1. What about you?
I'm going to go 2-0. I think that we're going to get a win.
Good.
And I'm very much hoping it will be reasonably routine. I'm not counting my chickens because I respect every opponent in the Premier League. And we don't know what Leicester are going to offer yet. But these are the sorts of games that I back Marco Silva to get a win out of. Almost reminds me of Sheffield United at home last season, Luton at home. One of those two where it was quite early on. We weren't playing the best football, but we just got the job done. And as far as the Sheffield United game was concerned, we actually should have won that about 5-0, to be honest. We created so many chances. If we can turn it on like that, fantastic. I want to see a bit more from Smith Rowe, not slagging him off. I thought that he did what he could with the limited amount of the ball that he had. Obviously, coming back to full fitness, I'm really excited to hopefully see him have more possession this time. And hopefully he can stay on the pitch for a little bit longer because he was fatigued after about 60. Even if you get up to 70, 75, that'd be fantastic. And yeah, I want to see attacking football. I want to see us really take the game to Leicester and dominate possession in a positive manner. And I think if we get the first goal, this could be a very good afternoon for Fulham. And that's what I'm hoping for.
I think a comfortable win or even 3 points in any sort of circumstances will be very reassuring to the fan base. I always look at the opening weekend and go, have Fulham performed the worst out of all the teams? Absolutely not. I mean, Wolves lost 2-0, but they're okay.
Yeah.
Everton lost 3-0 at home and actually created quite a lot, but just did the most Everton thing ever and just conceded and just folded. Dare I say all the results when I wait the weekend, apart from Brentford winning against Palace, a draw would have been much better. But the likes of Bournemouth and Forest drawing together against each other was extremely satisfying from my point of view.
Yeah.
It's very hard to make assumptions after match day 1, but me, 40 more points and I'm happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's but then again, I want to aim for a bit higher things this season. But quite exciting things to come as we wrap up. Fulham play Shrewsbury tomorrow night, under 21s. For those of you who can watch, I think they may be streaming it on the website. I'm actually heading down. Is it down? I suppose it is there. Down to Shropshire, or is it near Shropshire to watch it? New tick, very excited. And then we play Leicester, and then we play Birmingham, and then before all of that happens, Ipswich away. It's our deadline day stream,
and I can't wait.
Yeah, and it's going to be busy
because let's face it, Fulham are going to be busy. Even when we're not busy, there's so many busy things going on. Like think back to past deadline days when it's like, oh, we're not sure Fulham are going to do anything. We're not going to sign anyone. Oh, wait, it was the Josh King saga and we signed Josh Madger. And then, we're not going to do much. Signed Brozier, nearly signed Shirky, tried for Silas on the final day. Yeah. And even the rubbish one where we nearly lost Polinia. We had Ballo Toure last minute. We knew Iwobi was done, but, it was that excitement right to the end. And I really feel like it could be that again. And let's face it, even if it's filling like squad filler roles, like third choice goalie, backup goalie, things like that, it's always interesting to see who we go for and hear the rumour come out of nowhere. And that's what I can't wait for.
Yeah, so actually the structure of Jack and Joe for the next couple of weeks might be a bit strange because, we'll want to review Leicester, but then we've got Birmingham the next day. So we've got the Friday. So do we all do it in one episode, or I don't know? We will work it out in private, not on the broadcast as we are doing right now. Joe, I think that might be it. We both think that Fulham are going to win on Saturday against Leicester. We will see how Leicester play tonight. I'll be fascinated to see how they get on. But thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're going to the cottage on Saturday, make your voices heard and have a great time.
Let's hope that Ryan Sessegnon at least makes the bench. He does that little jog down towards the Hammersmith end, and I'm sure it'll be really special. Also, give Bobby Reid a good reception because what a player. Scored some really important goals for us and didn't really begrudge him a move, to be fair. If his contract ran out,
Yeah.
And let's see what happens in the rest of the window. Very excited to see what Fulham could do. Marco said we are going to sign players in these positions. Let's see if he's right. I am sure that Fulham will do something. I mean, it would be disastrous if we didn't. Thanks so much for watching, and well, come on, Fulham.